Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the 1,775 poems of Emily Dickinson that's contained in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 38 by Such and Such an Offering. I find this one of the more remarkable poems of the collection of Emily Dickinson. There's poems that are often popularly anthologized. And then there's poems like 38 that very few readers of Emily Dickinson will ever know. And yet, for my purposes, this is one of the most compelling poems. I am reminded as well of a number of scholars who have pointed out that in poem 1063, ashes denote fire was. Short poems. I'm convinced this is one of those remarkable poems. And we're going to ask, where did she get her idea from? This idea of the genesis of the ideas of Emily Dickinson is always going to be central to our study of the poems. And again, because we long for this chat with Emily that we could have, where we could ask a question like, where'd you come up with the idea in 38, poem 38, that you express so profoundly? Like, where did that idea come from, especially the verbiage as you present it? We would love to be able to ask that. Now, our assumptions are that you followed our stuff at learnstrong.net from the beginning, Chats with Emily, our playlist, and that I'm hopeful that you've been introduced already to our introductory set of comments, and then all the poems up to and including 37 before the ice that we just finished with. Now, let's go ahead and just enjoy the poem, this 4-line offering, and see what kind of fire it is that these ashes here are telling us exist. By such and such an offering to Mr. So-and-so, the web of life woven, so martyrs' albums show. Now again, some of you will say, well, okay, really? Help me to have access. I mean, a lot of readers of this poem will say, I have no real idea the argument that she's making. Let me see if I can help you. And it does open the way, of course, Emily loves her flowers, the way flowers will open. Notice the such and such and so, that idiomatic expression, which makes Emily immediately an American author. We said this when we did our study of, for example, Walt Whitman in Talks with Walt, and we said in Song of Myself 6 that there are certain lines there that make Walt Whitman an American author in Song of Myself, passage 6, for example. Here, this such and so will be very American in its verbiage. But notice that the word offering is the central understanding key word of this little poem. By such and such an offering to Mr. So-and-so, the web of life woven, so martyrs' albums show. Now, if you understand the word offering to mean sacrifice, and I think that's exactly what is being articulated here, right? The idea of the power of sacrifice. Certain individuals are forced to sacrifice to a Mr. So-and-so. Qualify this as an antagonist, qualify this as someone who's making the request or demanding the request. By such and such an offering or a sacrifice to Mr. So-and-so, the web of life woven, and you will possibly see a spelling of life as live depending on your edition, but most agree it's life. The web of life woven, so martyrs' albums show. Well, let's pause for a moment and just point out that web of life is a phrase that gets used one and only one time in all of her poems, and it's here. And it's gonna be a real question as to where she came by this answer. I think I've got two ideas that I want to share with you in a moment. Notice the use of the word woven. And I think if there's a single word that is central, it is this word in all of Emily's work. And one of the reasons for that is Penelope. Now go back to learnstrong.net and our lectures over the Iliad and the Odyssey. We've given full lectures, and the Aeneid as well. But do you remember when we commented on the power of the weaving motif in especially our study of the Odyssey? You'll remember, of course, Penelope is weaving. We have Helen weaving. Andromache will be weaving in the Iliad. This idea of weaving, that so much is a part of the stories we have said, of course, in our introductory set of comments. We are the stories we tell. We are the stories we retell are also the stories we decide to either accept or to reject. And I think that Emily is playing a game here as an iconoclastic artist. She's very much playing the game. That is to say, life is woven. Yes, this weaving that happens. And in the end, it is a story of martyrs. That is to say, individuals who will devote and sacrifice even their life for their project. Now, I think Emily is writing about writing when she writes a poem like this, and I think she herself was willing to believe that she needed to sacrifice much for her ability to gain what she had to gain. The albums here that's mentioned suggests even the idea of writing, doesn't it, right? And then, of course, the exclamation point to finish. In other words, she's making an argument that in life, you have those who demand the sacrifice, and then you have those martyrs who actually provide the sacrifice. It is the memory of only one of those that matters for Emily. It isn't the people who demand the sacrifice. It is those who accomplish through their sacrifice the weaving of this web of life. We're all interconnected, and our lives are built through the sacrifice of others. I think that's one of the important messages at 2A. That in fact, history reminds us that the heroes, the creators, the artists are really the ones who make the great sacrifices. And they're the ones, not the ones that demand the sacrifices, but rather we, the inheritors of those great lives. Emily obviously comes to mind, as does all the great writers, don't they? That they provided for us. Their life was their sacrifice. And that's what wove this web of life that's so brilliant. I love it to be the such and such so-and-so, la-ti-da kind of tone of voice, and then all of a sudden, in the fourth line, we're to martyrs, and we're like, oh, this is a serious poem. Oh, she is not la-ti-daing. No, she is not. The tone of this poem is, in fact, powerfully, can I use the word woven? So that she's making a profound observation about how life is woven. But now I want to get to the question of where this web of life phrase came from for her. Did she invent it on her own, or is she rather borrowing from a couple of different sources? The most obvious source is her love of Shakespeare. All's well that ends well. You'll remember in 4.3. We've given full lectures at learnstrong.net. The web of our life is a mingled yarn, good and ill together, you'll remember is said there. But I am interested in another possibility, given the date of 1858 when we believe this poem was written. There is, from December of 1854, 4 years earlier, a profound moment in the history of thought from the great Chief Seattle, who will write his famous letter. And this letter, of course, has been spoken of often. It isn't clear to us that Emily knew this letter, but we do know that she was very much tuned in to what at the time was referred to often as the native problem. That is to say, those individuals who were often referred to as Indians because, of course, Columbus got his geography wrong. But the Chief Seattle letter is one of the brilliant letters in all of human history. And because we have a few seconds, I just want to enjoy our reading of it to hear his use of the web of life. Seattle, we're not going to argue that Seattle learned the phrase web of life from his study of Shakespeare. So it's possible. The president in Washington, now it's Chief Seattle, the president in Washington sends words that he wishes to buy our land, but how can you buy or sell the sky, the land? The idea is strange to us. If we do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them? Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every meadow, every humming insect, all are holy in the memory and experience of my people. We know the sap which courses through the trees as we know the blood that courses through our veins. We are part of the earth and it's part of us. The perfumed flowers are our sisters. The bear, the deer, the great eagle, these are our brothers. The rocky crest, the dew in the meadow, the body heat of the pony, the man all belong to the same family. The shining water that moves in the streams and rivers is not just water, but the blood of our ancestors. If we sell you our land, you must remember that it is sacred. Each glossy reflection in the clear waters of the lakes tells of events and memories in the life of my people. The water's murmur is the voice of my father's father. The rivers are our brothers. They quench our thirst. They carry our canoes and feed our children. So you must give the rivers the kindness that you would give any brother. If we sell you our land, remember that the air is precious to us, that the air shares its spirit with all the life that it supports. The wind that gave our grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. The wind also gives our children the spirit of life. So if we sell our land, you must keep it apart and sacred as a place where men can go to taste the wind that is sweetened by the meadow flowers. Will you teach your children what we have taught our children? That the earth is our mother. What befalls the earth befalls all the sons of the earth. This we know. Now you're paying close attention. This we know. The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. One thing we know. Our God is also your God. The earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. Your destiny is a mystery to us. What will happen when the buffalo are all slaughtered, the wild horses tamed? What will happen when the secret corners of the forest are heavy with the scent of many men, and the view of the ripe hills is blotted with talking wires? Where will the thicket be? Gone. Where will the eagle be? Gone. And what is to say goodbye to the swift pony and then hunt? The end of living and the beginning of survival. When the last red man is vanished with his wilderness and his memory is only the shadow of a cloud moving across the prairie, will these shores and forests still be here? Will there be any of the spirit of my people left? We love this earth as a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. So if we sell you our land, love it as if we loved it, love it as we have loved it. Care for it as we have cared for it. Hold in your mind the memory of the land as it is when you receive it. Preserve the land for all children and love it as God loves it. As we are part of the land, you too are part of the land. This earth is precious to us. It's also precious to you. One thing we know, there's only one God. No man, be he red man or white man, can be a part. We are all brothers, after all. It's an amazing letter, and of course the reference to Web of Life. Is it possible that Emily read this in a newspaper and then put Web of... I love to think that it's very possible that Emily will have enjoyed that letter. Finally at 3B, who do you respect as willing to make sacrifices for the web of life to be woven? I'm hopeful that in your study of Emily, you will put her maybe at the top of the list. Thank you.